welcome to another Nerd News Breakdown. My name is Whitney Moore, and I'm very, very excited that it is the first Monday of October. I'm joined by my two spooky guests, my friend Matt, who's haunted by actual ghosts.
Hi, it's scary.
And my friend Filup, who wears that hat because his brains are exposed.
You can poke them and I feel smells.
I just want to give a quick shout out to Sam, who even though he's crazy sick,
So sick.
totally stuck through the entire Luke Cage live stream on Saturday.
Sam's a capital C champ.
He's a big
He's
boy.
also dying, so
Yes.
tweet him your wishes.
Your love and wishes and dank memes.
And I think he's doing his will right now, so try to get on his good side.
Like Steve does a will.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about some really cool nerd stuff today. I'm gonna kick it off by talking about this new Mario hack I'm really excited about. Matt, what are you gonna talk about?
I'm going to talk about the brand new trailer for Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales. Yes, there's another one. Why is there another one? We're going to break down the whole thing and give you all the scoop about the new movie.
Filup, what about you?
I will be getting all into Westworld. I watched it. I have strong opinions and feelings about it. And it's so up my alley that, oh man, you guys are gonna need to shut me up about it.
Okay.
You wrote down a lot.
I know.
I saw you
I know.
writing it.
Crazy notes.
I was like, I can't, that was my edited down.
You wrote a
Oh,
thesis
man.
paper on it.
I kind of want to do like a separate Westworld video. Request it if you want.
Okay, I'm gonna kick it off. So there is a new Mario hack called Last Impact, and it is the result of about 4,000 hours of work by a guy who calls himself Kays Emanuar, and he's actually, I found out, a pretty well-known game modifier. He recently did another hack to Super Mario 64 that replaces every texture with Toad's face.
That's
it's
fantastic.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
We all had different opinions.
But this one is way more ambitious. It's got 130 new collectible stars, new areas, new bosses, and 12 power-ups.
Wow.
So, if you look back to the OG N64 Super Mario.
There's only 3 power-ups.
There's only 3
Yeah, you
that
get
you
your
can
metal
do.
cap, your flying cap, and your invisibility cap.
That's it.
Yeah.
But 12, you can put on the
That's
frog
insane.
suit. You can also make it like Paper Mario and go 2D. It seems like he's sort of
that's
picking and
cool.
choosing from a lot of different Mario games to make this like one congruent, awesome game. Oh, also you can hang with Yoshi in it. New characters, new enemies. I'm really excited because that was my first game that I ever played. It was
Wow.
Mario 64 was the first game that I had.
Did you get it for
Oh,
Christmas?
really?
I did get it for Christmas.
I knew it. You always get it for Christmas.
I always, every year. And so I'm really excited to revisit that. I don't have a sick gaming PC. Hit me up if you want to sponsor me.
Yeah, if
Razer.
you want to throw SourceFedNERD a sweet gaming PC
Or
for
3.
us, or 3,
Yeah.
just so that we can play cool hacks and stuff that we wouldn't get to otherwise, please do that. I want to play this so bad.
There's like a Rainbow Road level that looks really cool.
Oh,
That
that's
looks
awesome. My favorite reason for getting us a gaming PC is we could do stuff with a Vive.
I know.
I really want to get into the Vive play.
Vibes
so
are
Vive us.
awesome. We're gonna
Yeah.
do it. Somebody Vive us. But my question for you guys and also you guys is, obviously we know that Nintendo's gonna shut this down immediately, so try to play it as soon as you can. Do you think that 4,000 hours is too long to spend on something like this that you know is gonna be taken down? Do you think that it would be a better use of this guy's time to create his own original game?
I mean, I don't think that that's necessarily for us to say. Like, art is art is art, and this guy is making this thing because he's passionate about Mario. So, good for him for making his thing. The world's gonna see it even for just a little bit before Nintendo takes it down. It'll live on in Mario 64 hack history. He didn't set out to just make a game.
Right.
He wanted to make a Mario game. So
Yeah.
good for you, dude.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I think that could show up really well on a resume if he's trying to be a professional game developer, because I think hacking something, you want to prove that it doesn't have bugs in it. So if it runs smoothly and he's just sort of expanding on this already created thing, I
Sure.
think that could read well on a
Proving
resume.
you can make something cool all by yourself is definitely a good thing for any resume.
Yeah, I think we're also touching on that idea of like, should movies all be original ideas and stuff? And it's like, at a certain point, it's hard to come up with original ideas, but not everything has to be that.
Yeah.
There's a big thing in screenplay writing about new but familiar, where it's like you want it to feel like something that we have connections to, but give us a new way to experience that. So I actually love stuff like this, where it's like your imagination can run wild with an existing thing, and then it's kind of like rediscovering something you already loved.
Right. Well, there's also, and this drives me crazy about like intellectual property and copyright, like things like William Shakespeare's plays or like Greek myths or anything like that. No one owns those. Anyone can repurpose that and like turn it into a new original thing. And that's why we see so many versions of classic tales. If Star Wars wasn't owned by George Lucas or Lucasfilm, anybody could make Star Wars movies and do whatever they wanted with that mythology. Like, I don't know why everyone has to own all the rights to everything. Instead, let everyone run wild and reinvent all these franchises.
People already do that. It's called erotic fan fiction. And it's on the internet.
Here's a clip.
I am excited to hear what your take after you said that is on this new Pirates movie. But first, let's jump to Filup with your Westworld entire essay that you
Download us.
So let's catch everybody up. So on Sunday, we got our first look at what HBO is hoping is going to be the new cash cow after Game of Thrones comes to an end, which we only have 2 real short seasons left of that. So we're talking about this show Westworld. First off, I want to give a spoiler-free description of what the hell Westworld is, because I think you really need to watch it for yourself. And then we can talk about whether or not it's worthy of taking over the Sunday night HBO mantle. So it's based off of a 1973 movie that you don't have to have seen to get any of the show. And the show is about a theme park where the wealthy can pay $40,000 per day to go and experience an ultra-realistic version of what it was like to live in the Wild West. Cool. But it goes way beyond like role-playing or VR or something. It's basically, the people feel like they've really traveled to this lawless place and time, and that's because the entire park is populated with extremely realistic robots who they themselves believe they really are in the Wild West, so they don't ever accidentally break character like in Halloween Horror Nights when you catch someone with
they
the
don't
mask
even know
of smoking.
how to break
They're not
character.
just a bunch of teenagers in expensive costumes.
So those robots are called hosts, and the visitors to the park can literally do anything they want to them, like torture them, murder them, butt stuff, anything they want. The host can take it, and the hosts have no issues with it. So obviously that attracts a lot of interesting individuals. So some stuff about this show versus the movie, though. The movie is all about the humans that are trapped in the park, and the robots go crazy and want to kill them. It's a lot like Itchy and Scratchy Land.
Yes, which, by the way, that is the episode that my cat is named after, because that is where Bort is from.
I have a robot named Bort.
Yes.
We've talked about this before based on that. But the show is doing something interesting because they want it to be this ongoing, really elaborate piece with a large cast. They're making some of the characters that we follow and care about the robot hosts instead of just humans. So it actually dives into the question of, beyond kind of if these robots can feel all the emotions that humans do, which they do on the show, and they have human intelligence, how is that different from being alive?
Yeah. Well, it's a really complex show, especially because you're putting these artificial intelligence, all these, essentially robot people, in a situation where they're just playthings for the worst of humanity to rape and kill and torture. It's a horrible existence, and they don't realize that they're living it. So what I like about the show so far is it doesn't seem like they're giving a clear answer about are these robots starting to understand it or what's going on. The question of, should we be doing this? Should we allow this? Should we even be creating these robots, and how should we be treating them is really compelling, like right off the bat.
I love all stories about artificial intelligence and how we treat them. I mean, that was a big theme in Fallout 4, and I was reading something right before we came on here about how actually they treat the actors in editing this show. They actually do CG graphics over the actors to make them look a little more robotic, so they can do inconsistencies in facial expressions or
like pupils going different ways.
Yeah. And I thought that's such an interesting real life way to sort of meld humanity and technology together.
Oh, it's actually happening in real life. That's cool. There's a thing that they're asking in the show that I think is so fascinating. So Ex Machina, if you haven't seen it, pause this and watch Ex Machina because it's amazing.
Get back to us.
But there's the concept of the Turing test of can we get to a place where we will not know if something is a robot or a human being, and this test is about just can you fool someone into thinking that a robot is human? And what Ex Machina asked, which is very interesting, and I think the show does too, is, okay, forget the Turing test. That's easy. Tricking someone is the easy part. What if you tell someone flat out, that's a robot, but do you love and care for this robot like it's a human? That's a much deeper question, and the show has a lot of that. And what I like even more than what happens in Ex Machina, it's not just asking that amongst the characters in the show, it's asking that of the audience. Because they're making robot characters some of the primary characters, it's asking you at home, hey, do you care about this robot person? We're gonna hurt them, we're gonna put them through stuff. Evan Rachel Wood gets put through a lot of stuff, and yet you have to decide, like, do I care? And it depends, I think, how you reacted to WALL-E or to Johnny Five. I love anything that even looks like it has eyes. You know, I'm like already like I feel for it. Do you guys attach to like things like that?
Absolutely. In fact, I would say that I am more attracted to the whole concept of this show overall, and you know all of the implications than Game of Thrones at all. Like I'm generally more of a sci-fi fan than a hard fantasy fan, but all of the stuff that you just said is like that stuff that I love to explore, read about, look at, think about. Big fan.
Yeah, I really am enjoying the show so far, and I'm attached to these robots. I care about them more than I care about the people because the people put them in this situation. Like, I want to see them understand what's going on and rise up. Like, I want a rebellion.
I'm gonna, so let's touch on that idea that Whitney was definitely hitting too, which is like, is this going to be the next Game of Thrones replacement? For her, it's connecting even more than it would, than Game of Thrones does. I love Game of Thrones, and these are not my children, and I can't pick between them. But I would have a robot child, by the way. So that's our official question. You know, is this going to be worthy of taking over that Game of Thrones time slot? But I feel like that's a harder question to answer if you haven't seen it yet. So in the comments stuff, so answer that after. I know you haven't had a chance to check it out yet. So what I actually want to ask you guys, because you can answer this whether or not you've seen it, and you guys can answer this too. So you guys are given a free ticket to Westworld. There are no laws. You can do anything. You're in the Wild West. There are no consequences to what you do. Are you going to be the hero? Are you going to be chivalrous and try to save the day and stop people? Are you going to be the bank-robbing villain, which is a choice a lot of people make? Or, and this gets explored on the show, are you going to be the freaky pervert who's like, I can do anything? All right, and I'm going to test those limits.
I don't want to say.
Yeah. I think
that's your answer.
I think it would be a mix of things. Like I'd like to rob the bank and then save the couple from being gunned down and just confuse the hell out of all those robots.
Yeah.
Honestly, mine would probably be really boring, and I would just have robots do stuff for me, like go get me food or give me a back rub.
So slaves is what you want. Slaves. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I would play that Grand Theft Auto way where it's like, all right, let's play out the story. And then once the story is kind of like getting a little stale, it's like, all right, let's try to break it. Let's see like how many weird things I can do. And that's actually something that I think they're going to go into on the show. There's this long quote of what extras had to sign in order to be an extra on this show. And it's real adult.
Whoa.
You have to be okay with genital contact, which is porn. You have to be okay with people painting your genitals on screen. You have to be okay with being a naked table. Like, you have to be okay with people getting naked and riding on you like you're a horse, and you're also naked. It's like there are people that are like gonna be like
doing crazy
extremes.
shit.
I think that's a little bit of HBO trying to be like, look how edgy we are on this show too, just like Game of Thrones.
But it's not Game of Thrones. To compare it to Game of Thrones, I think is asinine. Personally, it's so different.
As a piece of like a narrative, absolutely, but not as a piece of like the slot of the water cooler.
I would say that too.
The water cooler conversation.
I think this is too brainy and too slow and too mature for the Game of Thrones audience to latch onto it. Like there's a level of escapism that you have in watching a fantasy series that you don't have in unlocking the psychological mysteries of consciousness. It's a far more like thinky show than Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, you can escape into like, the killing and the politics and the wisecracks and, the murder. And this show is very much about like, you want to experience it with these robots and you want to think about it afterwards and ask questions. It's a lot more, to me, like The Leftovers, which I also thought was going to be like a big show and a follow-up to Game of Thrones, and people rejected that show almost entirely.
I love that show. I watched the first couple, and I was like,
I love that show, but most people don't. I think that this show is dark like that one.
I think it's closer to Lost Season 1 in terms of that braininess of like the mysteries and like, I'm not getting everything from this. But I think that's why HBO is trying to push violence. It's a very violent show. You see some insane violence, a lot of sex, so that you can enjoy it as just a Western kind of in some ways. And then if you are interested in like, what does it mean to be alive? Then you're probably a robot, but you also will enjoy the brainier things. I think that's because Jonathan Nolan, who is Christopher Nolan's brother and a big part of his projects, and J.J. Abrams, these are two minds behind this show. So of course it's going to get into these deeper mysteries and
it's the team behind Person of Interest, which was Jonathan Nolan and J.J. Abrams, and that show also dealt with similar themes of technology and our control over it, its control over us. It had kind of that paranoid feel. I don't know that this has the same level of kind of like fun that show had, but it's definitely an interesting show.
Well, I'm hoping it ends up being more like Lost Season 1 than The Leftovers, because I loved Lost and I did not like The Leftovers. But let's get into Matt's great topic of the new Pirates movie that everybody is asking for.
Everyone wanted it.
How many of us forgot this was going to happen?
I had no idea.
Just about everybody. So this movie, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, it's being directed by Joaquim Roning and Espen Sandberg, who are the directing team behind the movie Kon-Tiki. It was like a smaller movie, not a lot of people saw it. It was written by Jeff Nathanson, he wrote Catch Me If You Can, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, but he also wrote Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. He also wrote Tower Heist, Speed 2 Cruise Control.
And he wrote Catch Me If You Can?
Yeah. What? Well, Catch Me If You Can, he wrote by himself. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, he wrote like with a lot of different co-writers. So there's not really any way to tell how the script is. The movie was delayed several times. So it's been in development since 2011, and they put off shooting it, I want to say, twice because of script issues. They couldn't figure out a script that they liked.
Good sign.
Jeff Nathanson was brought on, and he wrote a new outline, which the studio liked, and he rewrote the script, and ultimately they decided to go forward with it, even though The Lone Ranger was a huge bomb at the box office. And, Johnny Depp doesn't really have the pull that he used to. This franchise doesn't have the pull that it used to, though. It should we should remember the fourth movie on Stranger Tides.
No, it wasn't. Sorry, go ahead.
The fourth movie on Stranger Tides, which I didn't see, made over $1 billion at the box office globally. What? So when they were thinking about greenlighting this movie, it definitely was still a huge franchise. So Johnny Depp was reportedly paid $90 million.
What?
For this movie.
Unnecessary.
$90 million.
Nobody needs that much money.
It comes out next year, and it's supposedly a reboot of the whole franchise. That they're saying that it's really much inspired by the first movie. They're trying to figure out what made the first movie fun and how do we capture that again. So I'm interested in it. And in this trailer, you can kind of see that. We're dealing with undead pirates again, kind of like the zombie pirates of the first movie. We've got, a young white boy who's supposed to be our kind of protagonist.
What's more fun than a young white boy, really, too?
Well, here's the interesting thing. This guy, his name is Henry. He's played by Brenton Thwaites. And supposedly, he is the son of Orlando Bloom's character from the first three movies, Will Turner. Now, Will Turner didn't show up in the fourth movie, and that's because I don't know how many people saw the third movie or even remember it, but at the end of the third movie, he becomes the new Davy Jones and is like the cursed captain of the Flying Dutchman. So he's down at the bottom of the ocean. So there's really no reason for him ever to come back, but he's supposed to come back in this movie. The whole movie is about Captain Salazar, who is a rival of Jack Sparrow's. He and his demon pirates have been trapped inside of the Bermuda Triangle, and they found some way to escape. And now they're trying to find the Trident of Poseidon, because whoever holds it controls the seven seas, and Captain Salazar wants to use it to kill every pirate on the ocean, including Jack Sparrow, and enact his revenge. Jack Sparrow is trying to get the Trident before him so he can control the seven seas and kill Captain Salazar and save piracy forever.
Wow.
Seems like a compelling story. It's so hard hearing about that going after Westworld and all of these like complex plots.
No, and I'll say there is room for blockbuster movies. We were talking earlier about how I very much enjoyed San Andreas. I think it's just like one of these hilarious movies to watch. But why is it that, I mean, not to speak for anyone else, this is for myself, why is it that like we just like, I feel he's disconnected from pirates? Like that franchise just kind of like, I'm just like, bye.
It's been so long.
The ship sailed, and
I got off that ride.
The ship sailed.
The ship
like
sailed,
in Pirates.
like in Pirates, and I feel like audiences too, out even before all of the stuff that's come out about his personal issues in life. When's the last time you saw a good Johnny Depp movie?
Did we? Because it count if we rewatched an old Johnny Depp?
No. I mean, the first Pirates came out in 2003, like 13 years ago, and I can't think of the last time I saw a Johnny Depp movie and was like, Johnny Depp was great in that.
Yeah, me neither. What did anybody see? What was it? By the Sea, the one that he and.
That was Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie.
Yeah,
the last one I saw Mordecai, which was terrible.
Oh yeah.
The Lone Ranger, which like is kind of like. There's interesting parts of that movie, but I think his performance was not great. Mad Hatter, did anyone love that in Alice in Wonderland?
I can't think of the last one that I saw him in and enjoyed.
And really enjoyed.
Leave a comment, let us know if we're missing any.
Other people returning to the movie, Jeffrey Rush is coming back as Captain Barbossa. Always a good decision. He's in my opinion, the best part of the first movie. And Kevin McNally is Mr. Gibbs, who, if you remember, he's the mutton chopped guy who's a friend of his, and he's just always a nice. Nice
Who's
person.
playing the villain again? Is it Javier Bardem?
Javier Bardem.
That's an interesting choice. I do like that actor a lot. In this trailer, he came off very Dr. Octopus to me, even though that's not him.
In what sense?
Just something about the like. It almost felt like he was saying like, "Find Peter Parker," like a threat that feels like from a Spider-Man movie where I don't actually feel like they're that threatening, but I'm scared of Javier Bardem in real life, so he probably will.
And he's an interesting actor. I'm very curious to see what he does in this universe. My question to all of you is, are you in any way excited about this movie at all? Do you have any interest in seeing it? Let us know down in the comments below. What are the other questions?
That's a big no for me. What about you, Filup?
Oh man, I mean, I would have, you know what I might do? I get like this weirdly about franchises. I just rewatch them all, and for like a completionist sense, I'm like, sure, I'll watch it because, I want to be aware of it, but excited, no.
See, I'm not excited for it because like the second one and the third one, while they have a lot of interesting ideas, are really, really boring. And the fourth one got such terrible reviews. If critics say it's great, I'll go see it.
Maybe they'll take chances with this one. Who knows? Anyways, guys, those are our topics. Let's reiterate our questions. My question to you is, do you think that hacks for interesting games, do you think that hacks for existing properties of games are worth the time, or do you think that people should be doing their own thing? Filup?
So I got a question for after you've seen Westworld, and that's, is this going to be the worthy successor? Is this going to be the next big Sunday night show that you're left out on if you aren't keeping up with it? But if you haven't seen it yet, then it's just, what would you do? Would you be the good guy, the bad guy, or the creepy perv in Westworld, a Westworld situation?
Yeah, and my question, once again, is, are you in any way interested in seeing Pirates of the Caribbean 5, or do you want them to just let this franchise sink to the bottom of the ocean?
Let it die. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Whitney Moore.
I'm Filup Molina.
I'm Matt Lieberman.
None of us are Sam Basher. Feel better, buddy.
Feel better, Sam. Goodbye.
Subscribe. Like this video. Share. Bye.
We actually had a chance to check out the very first episode, and we wanted to give our first reviews, our first thoughts, speculations, maybe some secrets that we may have found. We don't want to go too far into spoilers for those people who haven't had a chance to check it out yet, so don't worry.
Cage. I thought this episode was about Loot Crate.